Hey all, Baruch Levi, Rabbi B here. I am coming to you live on Facebook, getting things set up here, and I will get going in 1 second. So, let's see. Okay, all kinds of fun technology things happening here in my life. So, executive director, co-founder of Soul Centered. Soul Centered is a center for loss, for meaning, for healing, based in Denver, Colorado. But everything we do is virtual, like everybody else these days around the world. What I do is I work with clients one-on-one, counseling, grief counseling through all types of loss, but especially loss after the death of a loved one, as well as life direction. I call it soul coaching, but bringing people through the crossroads, whatever crossroads you might be at in life, guiding you through the crossroads and finding meaning. And really believe deeply that meaning is at the center of everything that we need, everything that we're looking for in this lifetime. And if we have meaning, we can get through anything. We can navigate life no matter how trying, traumatic our situation might be. And so we have lots of experiences here at Soul Centered. We have the Soul Experience, which we do on Saturday morning, formerly known as the Shabbat Experience, but it's a soul experience, helping people cultivate soul and live a life of soul. We have Ariella has the Healing Experience, which she's now doing on Monday nights, and it's helping people find healing in their life. And this is the Meaning Experience, having conversations about finding meaning and living a life of meaning. And so, see who's joining us here. Can't see on my. So, anyways, we're going to be talking about meaning tonight, and the meaning that we can find in our lives during difficult times, during daily, normal kind of times, and specifically memory, remembering. Right? What does it mean to remember? Um, I I think memory is one of those things in our lives that we just take for granted. Memory just happens, or it doesn't happen. We lose our memories, or we have memories. But at least from a Kabbalistic perspective, from Jewish mystical perspective, memory is something that we cultivate, that we do, that we work for. And it comes from the Hebrew word zachor. Zachor means remember. It also is the word for masculine. And from a Kabbalistic, a Jewish mystical perspective, it's masculine as in energy, masculine and feminine. And masculine energy is energy that goes out into the world. It's a doing. Think of the circle with the line, right, for the male symbol. It's not man or woman, it's male, it's masculine or feminine, but it's a forward thinking, doing kind of energy. And so, from at least from a mystical perspective, memory or remembering is something that we work towards, that we do. It's really driven home by the fact that the number one commandment in the Hebrew Bible isn't what you might think it would be. It isn't the Sabbath and observe the Sabbath. It isn't the dietary laws, so the keeping kosher. It's to remember over and over again. There's different forms of remembering in the Bible, but the number one commandment, I think it's 169 times. Remember the stranger, remember the widow, remember the orphan, remember the Sabbath, remember Amalek. He was one of your enemies. Remember this day. It talks about regarding Passover, and remember what God did for your ancestors, bringing them out of Egypt to the land of Israel. So over and over again, we're commanded to remember. And therefore, that's one of the ways we know that it's not something that necessarily just happens, but you actually have to do something. You have to work towards memory and remembering as a verb. So what does this have to do with with our life? Well, teacher of mine, Rabbi Jonathan Sacks, great rabbi, former chief rabbi of England, talks about, he has his own Haggadah, his prayer book that he uses for Passover, and he talks about in there the difference between memory and history. So he says history is his story, her story, their story. It's not our story. It's something that happened a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. But memory is my story. It's your story. It's our story. History happened then. Memory is constantly happening. So if you're remembering something, and whether it happened thousands of years ago or whether it happened 100 years ago or 10 years ago or now, is irrelevant. It's true, it's eternal, it's real, and it's ours. So there's no such thing as Jewish history. I mean, it's really almost an oxymoron, because I think this was Rabbi, um, who said this? I just blanked on his name. Anyways, famous rabbi said that there is no such thing as Jewish history, because the moment it becomes history, it's not Jewish. Jewish is about being present in the present and eternally connected. And so we're told over and over again to remember, to be in this moment and put ourselves in the past and bring the past to the present. And so thinking about, memory in our lives is something that just happens, as opposed to remembering and an action and an activity and a set of things that we do. So memory and remembering is strewn throughout the Jewish calendar. And on Passover, we end the holy days with what's called Yizkor. And Yizkor is about remembering. It's about taking time, making time on the last day of Passover. In Israel, it was today. In the US, it's tomorrow. And setting aside time and remembering. So not just assuming that, we'll remember our loved ones, but creating space and time. And so we never end one of the three pilgrimage holidays, Passover being one of them, without formally setting aside a time called Yizkor and having a memorial service. And in that memorial service, we say various prayers and do various things. But the whole point of it is that we've set aside time. And in that moment, we enter into memory. And when you do that, it isn't about history. It isn't about my relationship with my father in the past. It's about my relationship with my father, my relationship with my best friend, Mark, who died this past summer. And in that experience, right, it isn't about going backwards. It's about realizing that they're not dead. Our loved ones don't die. Their bodies die, but they're so much of them that is eternal, that continues on. And so thinking about memory as being with our loved ones while we're in this memory, while we're thinking about them, bringing the past to the present. And so tomorrow during Yizkor, or today in Israel, we enter into this process not just as some historical exercise, but as an opportunity to be present with our loved ones, to be with them in spirit, believing that their spirit is very much eternal in Israel, being with them in memory and thoughts and feelings, right? When people tell me their loved one has died, I make them kind of delineate that, yeah, their body maybe is gone, is dead. But if you're feeling love for them, that's not dead. That's very much with you. If you're thinking about them, your memories are alive. I believe deeply that their spirit is alive. So much of our loved ones aren't gone. It's not dead. And we need to really do this work after the loss of a loved one, to think about what is gone, but what remains, what is eternal, what is enduring. And so in this memorial service, Yizkor, we just sit and we're present with our memories, with our thoughts, with our feelings, with our loved ones, connecting with them. We struggle with this mightily in our modern era, right, where we think so linearly. Past was back then, and the future is somewhere out ahead of us, and the present is right now. But that doesn't make sense. There is no past. There's no future. There's only now and now and now and now. And so thinking about how memory functions in that, right? If there is no past and there's no future and there's only consecutive nows, then being present in the moment with our loved one and drawing power from that, strength from that. So every single morning I sit in meditation, and I have a council of elders, of advisors that I consult with, my loved ones, my dad, my best friend Mark, my grandpa Jack, my grandma Flo, various other loved ones. And I sit and I see myself holding their hand every morning in kind of a circle around a campfire, just feeling their presence. Maybe it's maybe you could say it's just mental and psychological, and that's fine. I can live with that because I know I feel connected to them. I feel their presence. I feel better imagining sitting with my dad, imagining sitting with my best friend Mark. My brain doesn't know the difference. Physiologically, I can see myself, hugging my dad, feeling his whiskers on my face, drawing strength from what he meant to me, what he means to me, what he'll always mean to me. And so, really actively going into memory, not just allowing past occurrences to enter my head, but being with my dad, with my friend Mark, with my grandpa every single morning, sitting with them and keeping these memories alive, bringing them to the present, drawing strength from them. This is the power of remembering. And I love that word remember, right? To remember, to bring, to bring members back into my council, into my tribe. So every single morning for about a half hour, I sit with my council and I draw strength from them. My friend Mark died 8 months ago. There hasn't been a single day that I haven't spoken to Mark. Our relationship isn't dead. His body is gone, but his spirit is, I believe, alive and well. I'll be teaching a class on the spirit and the journey of the soul, on April 22nd, 3 consecutive Wednesdays with the Kabbalah Experience, great organization here in Denver, Colorado. So I'll be talking about the journey of the soul from a Kabbalistic perspective. But regardless of whether the spirit continues on, there's so many other aspects of our loved ones. The Kabbalistic view of the soul is that we are nefesh, we're physical energy, and that does die and it's returned to the earth. We're borrowing this body for a while and it's given back. But then there's ruach, which is this kind of emotional, mental place. And energy is neither created nor destroyed. It just changes forms. Our thoughts. Why do we think our thoughts are ours? They've come from somewhere. They're here. They go somewhere. The same is true with our personality and our mind. And so my friend's mind and emotions and thoughts very much still alive. And I'm tuning into it every single morning, actively remembering him, bringing him into my life. I'm in his life, consulting with him, talking with him, drawing strength from him and my dad and others. And so really taking back our power, that memories don't just have to happen, but we become creators, right? In that moment where we realize that remembering is a verb. And so we think about the power of remembering and the meaning that it can bring to our lives when you don't just have to kind of sit around and wait for a memory to pop into your head, but you go into it and you bring it to life and you hold it and you enter into it and you kind of sift through it and really experience it and draw from it power. Memory, the act of remembering, can really transform our lives. And I look around now with coronavirus and the anxiety and the doubt and the fear, and going back into memories, not history. I began by saying, from a Jewish perspective and a Kabbalistic perspective, there's no such thing as history. There's only memories. Going back into those. Even if we never actually feel physically, personally had the experience. I mean, that's the great thing about wisdom and wisdom traditions. You don't have to have had the experience to draw power from the experience. So I go through the Hebrew Bible and I look at these great examples, like the Passover story of men and women who endured hell. They didn't lose their identity. They didn't lose their name. The book of Exodus is really the book of names. It's about people who lost their identity, but then they found it again. And they made the journey from slavery to freedom. And so turning to those memories and drawing strength from them, or thinking about the Holocaust is a big one for me. And the men and the women who faced the end with faith and courage and maybe they died, but they died on their terms, right? Not allowing their external circumstances to dictate who they were. My teacher, Dr. Viktor Frankl, is the embodiment of this. Dr. Frankl survived the Holocaust, was in 4 concentration camps, but he's said in one of his books that he was never a slave. He was never enslaved. He was always free. He always believed he had the power to choose how to respond. So thinking about Dr. Frankl facing horrors far worse than this and drawing strength from those memories, his experience becomes my experience. Turning to all kinds of great wisdom traditions to draw strength during times when we feel uncertain and insecure and doubtful. And so this is the stuff I work with clients, is helping them create a remembrance practice. How do you sit down, create time to formally remember? And it can be a daily practice, like I just described to you every morning, where I sit with my counsel and I bring them into my consciousness and draw strength from them. It can be like tomorrow, you're welcome to join us for Yizkor, the memorial service, and the last day of Passover. Everybody's welcome to participate. An opportunity to formally remember your loved ones and draw strength from them. Be studying wisdom texts. There's so many ways to actively remember, but that's the point, is you got to be active about it. Can't just allow it to happen, and you gotta ritualize it. I love the process of lighting candles. I think it's a powerful tool to, when a loved one dies. From a Jewish perspective, we light a candle for 7 days, and one of the reasons why is we need this ritual to transform darkness into light. And so we commit to transforming darkness into light by lighting a candle and letting it burn for 7 days. We also use that candle as a way to remember what's true, what's enduring, what's real about our loved one. Our loved one is like a flame and a candle. So the candle is very much like a body, right? It's finite and it burns down, but the flame is enduring and it's transcendent. So you can take that flame and light from candle to candle to candle, and it continues on. You can do that indefinitely. And that's the spirit of a human being. And so we light this candle to remember our loved ones and to create the act of remembrance. And so it's so important to create rituals, to have rituals to use in our lives, so that, again, we can become active creators of memories and formally enter into those memories and use the power in the process of remembering to bring meaning into our lives. Something else we do tomorrow during the Yizkor service is we recite a prayer, and in it we commit to charity, to giving. And I think that's such an important piece of remembering. It isn't just about what those memories do for me. How can I take these memories of my dad, of my friend Mark, of my loved ones, and commit to doing good because of those memories for others, right? To transcend myself and to give back to the world. And that way I honor my friend Mark, my dad, but I also transform this remembering into not only meaning for me, but meaning for other people. This is just, we don't think about memory or remembering in our secular world in this way. This is more of a spiritual approach to remembering, and such a deeply important act for us. What does it do for us? So Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel has a beautiful quote on this. He says, "The authentic individual is neither an end nor a beginning, but a link between ages, both memory and expectation. Every moment is a new beginning within a continuum of history. Only he or she who is an heir is qualified to be a pioneer." Right? When I remember, I become an heir, and I make myself worthy of becoming a pioneer. I'm a link, and I'm doing my part. In this sense, remembering is as much for me as it is for my dad, for my friend, for the person I'm remembering. I want to be the type of person that remembers. I want to be the type of person that shows up for my loved ones, even after they're physically gone. I want to be the type of person who continues on their name, their memory, their legacy, to become a guardian of that and to pass it on to my children and my friends and my community. I want to be that person. That's the power of participating in memory, not just allowing it to happen, but creating memory or remembering. Such an important idea, such an important verb and action. And thinking about it, again, during this time of ending Passover, and we have our memorial service tomorrow, during this time of coronavirus, when we need to really be mindful, stand guard at the gates of what's coming into our head, what we're allowing to enter. Because if we don't stand guard, the doubt and the uncertainty and the fear is all around us. Just turn on social media, turn on the news, and you're filled with doubt and fear. So we have to stand guard against that and make sure that what we're allowing into it is positive and is constructive and is creative. And so taking time to formally remember those who instill within us a sense of certainty, a sense of security, a sense of courage, of faith. And so that's my intention. That's what I do with clients, to help them create ways to remember, to take hold of the memories that are empowering, to let go of the stuff that isn't, to allow it to die with their loved ones, but to make sure that they carry with them after their loved one dies that which is enduring, that which is real, that which is empowering. And that's the power of memory. That's the power of remembering. And so again, you'll feel free, hopefully, to join us tomorrow at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. I have to do the math for people. 11 a.m. Central Time, 12 p.m. Eastern Time. Go back, 9 a.m. Pacific Time. You do the rest of the math around the world. We're going to be actively remembering, not just saying, I love my dad, I love my friend Mark, going to just assume that my memories will endure, but we're going to spend time, each of us, with our memories, with our loved ones, setting aside time to formally remember, to make sure that they are part of our lives going forward. And so with that, would love to hear from you, would love to connect with you, would love to work for you, or with you, or for you. You can get a hold of me at mysoulcenter.org. Just Google Rabbi B, shoot me an email, rabbi@rabbib.com. Until the next time, salam, shalom, namaste, and peace.